Yeah, we're back to making Wuthering Waves content 100%. We're back as if we never left. My name is Further. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I appreciate you clicking on today's video. What we're going to be doing today is breaking down the gameplay trailer. Now, way back in the day when Wuthering Waves was first releasing information, we didn't know much about the game. We just had a couple of trailers to go off of, but what I noticed is within those trailers, there were a lot of details that you might have missed upon first viewing, and so I like to break those down and point out those details and provide them and share them with you all. Now, I wanted to kind of go back to my roots for today's video and break down this gameplay trailer because I noticed a lot of details that I missed upon first viewing. So hopefully this video brings you some value and hopefully you do enjoy. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop right in and let's point out the first thing that I missed when I first saw the trailer. And that is this individual right here. Now, we know she's going to be very integral, very important to the story. We've seen her before, but what I have not seen before is the Forte, and that is on her left bicep right here. Fortes are, of course, very important to Wuthering Waves and the storyline, so pointing them out on characters is something that I like to find on characters. So you'll notice I'll be doing that a lot in this gameplay trailer, but I did want to go ahead and show that her Forte is right on her left bicep, and the flower right here on her left hand. We'll go more into detail about that here in just a second. Now, this scene I found to be very interesting. I didn't really think much about it when I first saw the trailer, but if you notice, it's as if she's sitting on top of this mountain like a maestro and she's conducting an orchestra. It goes very well with the music, which you can't hear in today's video because I have the trailer on 0.5 speed to break it down, but it goes very well with the music, and once again, as if she's a maestro conducting an orchestra, but you can see that the flower is glowing that she has, and it's as if she's controlling these enemies to rise up out of this lagoon or lake, and she's controlling them with whatever her power is. I'm not entirely too sure what it is per se, but it seems to be some type of mind control, if not mind control in general, mind control of the enemies. And then of course we got my boy Scar here. The things that I wanted to point out was his earrings. The Forte appears to be right on his neck, and then of course his attire or his aesthetics. Moving back to the women right here, you can see the flower once again, important to her power and how she operates. The flower right here on her left hand, the flower that she's holding in her right hand, and you can see it's glowing, emanating, and the color of the flower is very reminiscent of the color on the eyes of the enemies, once again indicating that she's controlling them in some type of way and they're doing her bidding, whatever that might be. It appears that they are marching towards maybe a faction that we're a part of, and this is of course going to be probably a cutscene in the story that we're going to be able to experience, hopefully in closed beta 2. That would be fantastic. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about this boss fight scene right here. This is going to be a part of the story, I presume, and it is this goat-like creature. Now, what's very important to note about this goat-like creature is that it appears to be Scar. And this could be his final form. I'm not entirely too sure. This could be the Forte fully taking him over. This could be another entity or object that has controlled him. I'm not entirely too sure what it might be. Let me know what you guys think it is down in the comments below. But we know it is Scar once again because of the aesthetics. The goat-like creature is of the symbol of the cars that you can see in the background. And his earring is right here, which we'll get a closer look at that here in just a moment. But I did want to break this fight down because right now he's about to do this grab, which is probably going to deplete 90% of your health bar if you do not dodge it, or it appears that you can parry it because it does highlight right here. So this should be parryable. The timing might be a little tight, but he does grab you right here, slams you down. Once again, it's probably going to do an incredible amount of damage. We have another move right here, which is a knock-up. Once again, parryable or dodgeable, so you just have to have that timing down. But it is a knock-up, probably going to do a lot of damage, might be comboable. And then you can see right here, this is going to be a cutscene in the story part. You'll probably fight this boss, like with most bosses, fight them a part of the story, and then be able to revisit them for mats. But you can see this is a better viewing of the earring that's on him. So this is 100% Scar. We're just not sure how he got into this form and by what means. And then we get introduced to the new characters, which I'm very excited to be able to play, hopefully if I get into the closed beta, and they should be in this new closed beta. But we have this character right here, which I do apologize, I don't know her name. I will know the name here relatively soon, and I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments down below. But she is going to be a main of mine. She's a hand-to-hand combat character, which is incredibly fun because that is my gameplay style, and we're going to break her gameplay down right now. Now we're going to take a look at this scene right here. From what I've noticed, looking at her gameplay extensively, it appears, and keep in mind, I have not seen any leaks on characters in terms of their gameplay. So if you have, kudos to you, I have not. So everything that I'm going to be talking about is pure theorizing and speculating from what I can see in this trailer. But it does appear that a lot of her gameplay are centered around stances. Whether that stance is to CC the enemy, or whether that stance is to be able to counter the enemy, or if you combo the basic attacks to get into a stance. I'm not entirely too sure. There could be multiple different ways that this can happen, but as you can see right here, she goes into a stance, and once again, it appears that it might CC the enemy. There might be some type of surrounding that happens around them, or this could be a counter stance. So if the enemy attacks her right now, they're going to get countered. Here we can see the enemy charging. We have the parry symbol coming up, and she does a very nice, what appears to be counter or parry. Once again, I'm not too sure if this is a skill or if this is her parry animation. Now this one right here does appear to be a full-on counter within her, like her skill or her basic attack. It doesn't look like a parry to me, because usually when you parry an enemy, it's pretty quick and you can go right into other animations like your basic attack, go right into it. But with this one, you can see there's a nice pause to it, right? It pauses for quite a bit, and then she goes into a counter attack. So it appears to be a skill where she assumes a stance, and then the enemy attacks her, and then she counters, right? It's almost a timing thing. Or you can parry it, whichever you prefer. Now this is obviously her ultimate animation, where she has these orbs, and then she has the yin and yang symbol, and then she has this surrounding right here, this area that, or field, I guess you can call it, that she creates. And then it appears that within that yin and yang symbol, there's some CCing capabilities that are happening here. It's as if the enemy in the middle cannot move for whatever reason. Now, this could just be the trailer and the enemy's just not moving in general, but it almost looks as if the enemy's stuck in place there because of the whirlwind effects that's happening. So that's the new character right there that I will be maining 100%. And then we have the captain right here. And this is another hand-to-hand combat character, which is very cool to see. And you can see the captain's Forte right there on his right bicep. If I didn't point it out, the Forte on the other character that we just saw is on her left shoulder blade or collarbone, if I didn't mention that earlier. Okay, while I was editing, I did want to go ahead and add something that I missed while I was doing the video. You see those up arrows that's right next to the captain? That might indicate some type of buff that they're receiving at this moment. Once again, maybe a part of the basic attack animation when you do the full sequence, maybe a skill that they just did, or maybe a part of the ultimate that they did. But it is a buff appears indicator. I did want to point that out. Let's go ahead and go back to the video. Now, Captain seems to be a little unique, as in he has two different playstyles. He has the hand-to-hand combat, which seems to be a little bit slower, a little more impactful, right? And then he has this one right here, which this is his ultimate animation, it appears to be, where he slams the head covering down right on this pillar. Now, what this pillar does, I'm not entirely too sure whether this gives the captain a buff, whether this CCs the enemy, whether this has some shred resistance. But then the head covering the captain fights with, and you can see the attacks seem to be a lot quicker, right? A lot more whirlwindy and a lot faster than when he's doing the hand-to-hand. So this seems to be more of the combo heavy type of playstyle for captain, and then the hand-to-hand combat without the head covering seems to be the more impactful, the more powerful type of attacks, is what I've noticed from this gameplay. Now we move on to my other main, Kakarot, right here, which we've seen in the story in closed beta 1. Fan favorite, I believe. He's just a very cool character in general, wielding a katana, and he has a stand as well. What I noticed is that with Kakarot, he seems to have very wide arcing slashes, so he's able to hit multiple enemies. But what I also noticed, now this could be the end of his basic attack animation, or this can be a skill, but he does one slash, and then you can see there's multiple slashes that happens afterwards. And I noticed that this is a part of his gameplay pretty frequently. So once again, I'm not entirely too sure if it's part of his basic attack or some of his skills have this as well, but you can see he does a slash, and then you can see a bunch of individual slashes happening behind him. So that could be a skill right there. And then, like I mentioned, he has the stand that fights with him, which I always find to be incredibly cool. And the stand is able to do attacks. As you see, they did a whirlwind slash, and then they end up on opposite sides here. Very anime-esque. Love it. And then you can see the slash, and then the stand right here, fighting alongside him, doing some attacks as well. We got a big sweeping slash here. Once again, can hit multiple enemies. The ultimate animation right here, and then the duo stand pose that we have. Once again, very anime-esque. I'm here for it. I love it. Big slash, and then we go straight into some co-op. If you missed that right there, it looks like he's able to disappear. So he might have some iframes right here, part of his attack animation, but he actually disappears. He's gone. He does some slashes and then he reappears right here. So a very cool move right there that I noticed as well. And the co-op is going to be incredibly fun to do with the community. And then this is part of the boss fight once again. And this is going to be the ending of the boss fight. It's going to have this nice cutscene at the end and probably conclude this part of the story and whatever was happening there. Now, moving on from there, we have this flight scene. This is probably going to be either a mini game or a part of the story. We've experienced stuff where we can change into like an animal or change into something and be able to do like a gathering type of thing in the open world. This is some tethering that we have going on in a new area that I've never experienced. And then we have the motorcycle boss that you're actually able to use motorcycling around. Not sure if that's going to be a mini game, a side story, or a part of the main story. Not entirely too sure. And then we have the commander right here, Gian himself. You can see his Forte is glowing very bright, and he's about to encounter multiple enemies and get into a very big fight right here. So he's gearing up for that, letting you know what's going on. We have the Crownless here, which was an incredibly fun fight. And then we have this individual right here. I forgot her name as well, but she's very important to the story also. But you can see she is powering up a massive move, which looks to be a very large ethereal electric dragon, which is fitting because it's part of the Huanglong faction where she's from. So going back to Gian, the commander right here, he's in the thicket. He's fighting off hordes of enemies. It's getting to be a bit overwhelming, so he said, F it, I'm done with this. Powers up the Forte right here to do a massive ultimate, get that Azure dragon out, and he absolutely cooks them because he's had enough. Now, the last thing that I did want to go ahead and point out was this ending scene right here. I'm not too sure what it means. I still don't know. You can let me know in the comments down below if you do. But it was this ending scene, and for some reason they did a close-up of these 3 rings. I have a feeling these 3 rings are important for some reason. I just don't know why they would do a close-up of them, or they just wanted to show off the detail on the graphics and the aesthetics of the game. But I just have a sneaky suspicion that these 3 rings play a part in the story, and there's something very important about them. I'm just not entirely too sure. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. Once again, hopefully I pointed out some things that you did not notice upon first viewing, and was able to gather some more detail and understanding of the trailer and what's happening. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Once again, we are back 100% with Wuthering Waves content. We're going to be covering it in depth, and hopefully we get into the closed beta. If so, like with closed beta 1, we'll be doing multiple streams and covering the game as much as possible. So with that being said, I hope you stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody. You call me Further. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.